I've had my Alocasia Maharanis living in this glass vases for a number of months now. This one is living in the Sphagnum moss LECA combination that's very popular at the moment. And this one is living in my LECA mixed with my mineral based at the top. And I've also got my Alocasia Red Secret plants. I've got this one here and I've got this one here. This one lives in my mineral-based substrate, a little bit like Pon, and this one lives in LECA. So today I'm just going to talk you through what's been happening with these plants, and I am going to repot them because as you can see, that has, I think, come to the end of its lifespan in that. And my Alocasia Red Secrets are also sort of busting out of their pots. So we're going to do a repot and we're just going to talk around what's been happening with them. There's been a lot of talk online about people successfully growing alocasias in a glass vase with LECA at the bottom and Sphagnum moss at the top. So this is my plant that I put in this setup last year. And look, it is going really, really well. It's growing, it's doing really good, but I don't like what that looks like. And I'm pretty sure that plant is now root bound. So I am going to repot that into a much larger vase because I want to continue with this process. I don't really, all honesty, I think anybody who's watched my earlier videos about this method knows that I don't really like it. I have a lot of reservations about this method, but I am sticking with it because I want to see what's happening. I do have a few people coming to my group or asking me, why is this method failing me after a while? So I'm just trying to see what's going to happen as I go through growing this plant in this method. That is what those roots look like. They are just so good. They look really good, but that algae just does my head in. So we're going to repot that into a much bigger vase. And this is the one. I decided, using sphagnum moss is great, but it's an organic item, so it breaks down and it degrades. So I tried putting my mineral-based substrate on top of the LECA as a substitute for that sphagnum moss, and gosh, I think that plant is doing really, really well. I put it in the glass vase as well, just for comparison's sake, and you can see the algae situation is meh for both of them. I think it's a little bit worse in this one than this one, but it's still quite bad. So I'm going to repot this plant and actually put it in a proper pot where I don't have to deal with this algae situation. Let's get repotting. The number one problem that I see with this is trying to get it out of this vase. I don't know how. Oh, hang on, I say problem. I'm pulling it out like that and really it's just coming out. Ooh, easy as. I'm just pulling that and there we go. There we go. It gets a bit tighter towards the end because that's where you've got the LECA, so that is a bit firmer, but there you go. Look at that. That looks really, really good. Ugh. It smells. Ugh. I do not like that. Now, look at the base of that. Look at those roots. They just look so delicious, don't they? Now, I don't quite know how people do this, but I'm told that you're just supposed to replace it. So I could be doing this wrong. For those of you who are, deep followers of this method, I could be doing it wrong. I don't know. But you know what? I'm very tempted to go and give this a little wash, just to rinse it out a bit and get rid of some of that, algae. I'll be back. I didn't do too much. I literally just washed the bottom part where the LECA is. I didn't put any water where the moss is because I don't want that to get too wet. So this is the vase that I'll be putting this plant in. So it's a bit of an upgrade from this to the next, well, it's not really the next size up. I've got algae on my hands. This is some LECA that I prepared earlier, so I'm just going to put some in now. I think I'll leave it at that, and then I put my plant there. That's a great place. That's a great placing for my plant, actually. So it's not too deep in that vase. And then I've got some sphagnum moss that I moistened up earlier. So it's just moist. It's not dripping, as you can see. Not dripping at all, just moist. And I'm going to put my plant there and Ugh, I'm not doing a very good job of this. Try and get a little bit of moss in the sides so my plant is sat in the middle. Kind of what I'm going for there. Good. Got my little acrylic stick here to help me with that. So I'm not like jam packing it in, I'm just moving it to the bottom. Now, people have told me various ways in which they do this. Someone has said that they put a straw between the plant and the vase so that when they're putting nutrient solution in, it goes through the straw and doesn't make the moss super wet. That's one way to do it. Others say just do it along the side. So yeah, there's various ways that people have found that this method works for them. Okay, I like it. That is where I want that to be. That's my nutrient solution in there, my foliage focus, and I'm just going to put it right along the side. My watering can has got a nice narrow spout, so you can see it going in there, not making the moss too wet. And in it goes, and you can see it, my LECA getting wet. And I love the fact that this vase is actually quite large because then the reservoir is quite deep as well. So we know for sure that there are no roots there, and that nutrient solution is going to go up to the moss and that plant is going to be rehydrated. So there. Another thing that people do when using this method is to cover up the vase to prevent that algae from forming, or put the vase in something else. I don't know if I have anything that I can use. I will be looking out for that because I do not like the way the algae form on the other one. So it might just be covering up with a piece of cloth or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to be creative and come up with something. But that there is my Alocasia Maharani repotted in a bigger vase in the moss LECA combo. Next up is my Maharani that's living in my LECA and Pon or mineral blend substrate combo. So I've got the substrate at the top and I've got the LECA at the bottom, exactly like the method for the moss one. Now, let's see how this is gonna be. Well, I can tell you right now, this is a lot harder to take out. Ah, there we go. My hands are a bit slippery. Ah. Whew. There we go. You can see that's the one with the vase from this one, and when I compare it to the vase from that, you can see there is so much more algae in this one compared to that one. So much more. There we go. I mean, even inside the roots themselves, you can see, because this is not moss, it's very easy to actually take the plant off. Those roots aren't adhering to the moss the way it did with the other plant. And yeah, I mean, if I wanted, I could actually go and give this plant a wash, but I think I won't because I don't want to disturb it too much. And these are, I mean, these are spent leaves, right? So I can just pull that off. And once I pull that off, this is the plant that I'm working with. And these are my roots. Looking really good. Happy with that. The only problem with this method, as you can see, my LECA is now mixed in with my Pon. And I don't really like that. I don't like mixing substrates. So this is gonna do my head in. I'm gonna use it still, it's fine, but I just don't like doing this. I'm gonna put this one in my ultimate, my Leafy Brand ultimate pot set. That's the cash pot there. And this is the nursery pot. It is a wick setup, so I like that. That's going to be like that. And I'll just put a little bit of LECA at the bottom and put the plant at the top. That looks good. That's a good position. And then I'll use the substrate that was in, that the plant was in before, because I don't want to waste that. And you can see that I've got my LECA about there and the plant starts, and you've got the substrate at the top. That looks really, really nice. I like that. And I'll have my plant in my cache pot and I'll put my nutrient solution in there. And there we go. The only thing I don't like about these pots is that I don't have a water level indicator, but you know, I mean, I just pick it up and see if I need to put more. I put more and it's fine. You know, it's not a deal breaker, but there we go. Love it, love it, love it. So that's my plant. I think that plant's going to really love it in there now. I now don't have to deal with any of that algae stuff, but I still have the advantage of having LECA at the bottom and the Pon at the top. And I think what this allowed the plant to do is to have that added moisture sealed in. And yeah, I think the results speak for themselves. Next up are my Alocasia Red Secret plants. This is an experiment that I did. One is living in LECA, another one is living in my mineral-based blend. And this is an experiment that I did with my members. So it sits, if you want to watch this video, it sits at thelecaqueen.com. Go and find it there. But what I was trying to see was whether an Alocasia preferred to live in LECA or whether it preferred to live in a mineral-based substrate. And look, these are the results that I got. I think it's neither here nor there, really. Neither here nor there. The one in a mineral blend seems to be a bigger plant than this one. The one in the LECA actually even has little pups. You can see that little pup there. There's another one. There's two plants that have actually grown off of corms while living in the LECA. And this one is also doing fabulously. And when you take a look at the root system as well, that's the root system for the plant that's living in LECA. It is just thriving, and both these plants were actually living in a wick setup. So I suspect that also helped heaps. And this is the root system of the plant that's living in the pond. There you go. How gorgeous is that? So today I'm going to be putting these two plants in one pot because I'm sick and tired of taking care of so many plants in so many different pots. And I think this experiment has run its course. So we are going to be putting them in a big 20-centimeter pot. I'm going to have a big Alocasia Red Secret thing going on. So let's take the plant out. Trying to detangle the roots and release the wick. That's the wick there. That is my plant there. So that's the new small plant. There's another little one over there. Yeah, I am not going to untangle this at all. I will leave it exactly the way it is and put it in the new pot exactly the way it is. All right, let's sort out the plant that's living in the pond. That is the root system of that plant. Looking really good. And I'll just let the pond that's falling off fall off. Those roots look so very healthy, so healthy. If I take the two plants and put them side by side, shucks, I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but the roots for the plant that's living in pond look so much drier. I'm actually surprised. I thought they would be a lot wetter than the roots of the plant that's living in LECA. But then again, maybe I just watered the plant. Who knows? Who knows? But those roots just look so, so healthy. Even the roots of the plants in LECA, they're so nice and fuzzy there. And that's why this plant has been doing so well and is so happy. So, okay, I'll put that there. Let me bring my pot. Okay, so this is the planter that my plant is going to go into. I've got a 20-centimeter nursery pot here, and this is a very large ceramic pot. I'm going to use the wick setup for my plant, and it's got there, it's a glazed ceramic pot, and it's got this little thing that sits at the bottom that allows the pot to create a reservoir, you know. So my nursery pot sits on top, and at the base, there's actually a space where my reservoir will go. So before I do that, I've got some microfiber wicks here that I made earlier that will go in my planter. So I've got quite a few of them because they're quite thin. Okay, so those are my wicks. Put my LECA in. Now, because this is a 20-centimeter pot, those holes are quite large, so the LECA always escapes, always. I use some of the LECA. So I pull up my wicks because I want them in and amongst the LECA, and I'll put some of my LECA from before. Okay, that looks good. Let us see. You know what? That's sitting a bit too high for my liking. Let's try that again. Too high. I think that should work now. The thing about an Alocasia Red Secret is it's got a front and it's got a back. Very, very clearly has a front and a back. So what I want to do is make sure that both my plants are facing in the same direction. So you can see that's the front. So I'll put that there. I'm trying to get them to play nice with each other. There. Do you know what? I'm actually thinking maybe I should have even gone for a larger pot, quite honestly. But so because I know this method works so well based on my experience with my Alocasia Maharani and with my Red Secret, I'm going to get this substrate that this other plant was in, the one that's mixed in with the pon-like substance, and put it on top. And this is more of that substrate. Right, that is my plant. Doesn't that look absolutely glorious? Woo! I'm happy with that. And this is my nursery pot, my cash pot, sorry. And boom. That is how my plant sits. The original little stand that goes in this pot for this pot actually broke. So I think I might need to make another riser that lifts up my plant a little bit so that it's more in proportion with the pot. But for now, you kind of get the idea. This is how that looks. I'm really happy with that. And all I do is get my nutrient solution and whack it in there, and voila, you've got my Red Secret plant repotted. I've got my Alocasia plants repotted. I'm going to put them back exactly where they live, and hopefully my plants are going to keep doing better. Let me know how you repot your Alocasias in the comments below. But better yet, please share them with me in my free Facebook group called Semi-Hydroponics with the LECA Queen. Now go and watch this next Alocasia video. I'll see you there.